Life, Liberty, and Levin. We call him the Great One. Mark Levin is here tonight. Mark, there's been a lot of discussion in the lead up to this as to what is the Trump doctrine. I think we have a lot of insight. Now, Donald Trump gave them 60 days. On the 61st day, the Israelis went in and attacked. They didn't take Donald Trump's words seriously. They should have. They should have listened, as he said. But to me, if I were to describe it, I'd say it's overwhelming force defeating with a mission the enemy, achieving whatever goal it is that you have. In this case, the president's goal was stated. It was clear. It was unambiguous. He's been consistent, and that is they cannot have nuclear weapons. But it seems that, you know, the world would be wise to look at Donald Trump and the actions of his first term. I recall that he used the mother of all bombs mark in Afghanistan. He wiped out the entire ISIS caliphate that Joe Biden and Barack Obama allowed to grow into one of the fiercest and most evil terrorist groups ever. He took out Soleimani, their lead general terrorist, out of Iran, and al-Baghdadi and associates. And he did it without this forever war talk that we keep hearing from some in this country. I'm not saying that any military effort is not without risk. They all are. And I know the president probably will be up all night worried, protecting our assets in the region. And that was all part of the game plan from the beginning. I'm sure you'd agree with that. But let's talk about what the Trump doctrine is, because I agree with it. I want to get your thoughts.
Okay, first of all, you're looking at a historic figure. Shouldn't we have a little faith in this man? We have a lot of faith in this man. Shouldn't we have a little faith in the United States military? We just kicked their ass. We just took out what they've spent 40 years trying to build, and hundreds of billions of dollars with the help of the North Koreans, the Chinese, and the Russians, and anybody else they can get. We took out those sites. The Israelis laid the foundation. We brought our bombers in that weren't touched, not by a moth. Dropped these massive bombs, blew them to Kingdom Come, and left. There's no other military on the face of the earth that could do that. There's not another commander-in-chief that has the guts to do what President Trump did. Let me give you a little walk down history lane. In 2006, Bill Clinton had an opportunity to blow up the North Korean nuclear site. You know what he did? He passed. Now they have 50 nuclear weapons and enough material for 90. What did Obama do? Obama was cutting deals left and right, and he cut a deal that would have given them a nuclear weapon within 10 years, really this year, and would have enshrined it, would have made it possible. They'd have a nuclear weapon right now. What did Trump do? He ripped it up. He signed it with a pen. You know what? He gave me the pen. What else? Joe Biden was literally funding their nuclear program. He was funding the enemy. Donald Trump walks in, says, what the hell's going on here? Now, sometimes the military has to be used if it's used by a smart commander-in-chief, if it's used wisely, if it's used for a specific purpose. It gives us peace. So I want the so-called, I don't know what to call them, people running around, warmonger, the sloganeers. This should be an education for you, too. This should be an education for you, too. America, don't you feel relief? Of course you feel relief. Because these Islamo-Nazis were building nuclear weapons to attack us, too, with intercontinental ballistic missiles. Guess what? You can go to bed peacefully tonight. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Not because of Obama, not because of Biden, not because of the Democrats, not because of some Republicans, because of Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump has a way of doing his thing. He'd rather not do this sort of thing, but if he's going to do it, he's going to do it. He's going to do it right. You've heard our reporting here. He didn't send one B-2. He didn't send two B-2s. He sent three B-2s. They didn't drop 1, 2, 3 of these bombs. They dropped 6. And just in case, we had our subs out there, nuclear subs. And what did they do? They shot 30 Tomahawk missiles. That is, this mission was never going to fail under this commander-in-chief. This is historic. He is historic. The United States military is historic. This is a big damn day. This is just like Reagan in front of the gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Well, he said, hey, Supreme Nazi, tear down your nuclear programs. And he gave him nothing but disrespect. He killed him over and over and over again. take it apart or we're going to have to do this. Take it apart or we're going to have to do this. And they kept defying us. You want to know why? Because they're Islamo-Nazis, that's why. And he did it for them. We also give it a little hat tip to Benjamin Netanyahu. What that military has done there over the course of the last 9 days is unbelievable. They've taken out their military superstructure. They've taken out their nuclear scientists. They're taking out one after another after another. They're wearing down their ballistic missiles and everything. You know what this reminds me of, honestly? Reagan and Thatcher. Reagan and Thatcher defeating the Soviet Union. This is big. One of your guests mentioned, you know who's watching this? Xi in Communist China. He's going, holy mackerel. Whoa. You know who's watching this? Putin. Putin. He's got 1 million people dead. He keeps running them into the grinder, Look what Trump just did. Look what he did. Guess what? There wasn't a regional war, and there's not going to be a regional war. There's not World War III. There was not going to be World War III. The Israelis didn't drag us into it. I want the anti-Semites, sit down and shut up. The Israelis didn't drag us into this. The Israelis are defending themselves. We're defending ourselves. That's what took place. Now, what's the reaction of the Democrats? Impeach Trump. These are sick people. Sick. You know why? Because their guy Clinton couldn't do it. Obama couldn't do it. Biden couldn't do anything. If they had their way, if Kamala Harris had been president of the United States, Iran would have nuclear weapons. That's it. They would have nuclear weapons. Donald Trump is a man of peace, but he's not stupid. He doesn't put his head in the ground like some of the people were urging him to do. These forever wars are murder. He just destroyed them.
Hey, Mark.
A forever war. And the Israelis still have to fight it. Yes, sir.
I want to ask you this because you said something. The president wants peace. The president's been trying to negotiate peace in Europe. He's been trying to negotiate peace in the Middle East. He and Steve Witkoff, his Mideast envoy, they have bent over backwards, pretty much begging them to do the deal. They wouldn't be nuclear, but there would be other opportunities for them to join the free world if they so wanted it. They chose otherwise with the rejection of the president's offer to negotiate even yesterday with their foreign minister. So he has tried that. But you brought up the history, and I think we need to remind people it was Barack Obama and Joe Biden. Remember, they sent the cargo planes, billions of dollars, cash and other currency in this total. They were adapting the policies of appeasement. How did that work out? Well, the Iranians built up their military. They built up their nuclear program, and they had the money and to buy the munitions to foment terror throughout the entire region. And that means they were funding Hamas and Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad and the Houthi rebels and the Syrian militia and the Iraqi militia, et cetera, et cetera. And then it was Joe Biden. The Iranians were on the verge of bankruptcy when he became president because Donald Trump's sanctions were working. The heart and soul of their economy is oil. And Donald Trump put sanctions on them. They were headed to bankruptcy. Joe Biden turned a blind eye to those sanctions. As a result, it enriched the Iranians. That allowed them to foment more terror, to fund Hamas and the Houthis and Hezbollah. And then it also allowed them to spend even more money on their nuclear program. What scares me in all of this is how close they really got. If you're to believe the reports, if they were at 60% enrichment, every scientist, every expert I have interviewed, that I have talked to said it's less than a month where you get to weapons grade 90% enrichment, which would mean they'd be able to build the bomb. That's how close they were. And it really was a minute to midnight. And I don't think the Israelis, I don't think President Trump could have waited a minute longer at this point. Your thoughts?
No, you're 100% right, Sean. Look, I want to put this in perspective. There are great leaders, and then there are people who get elected president. This is a great leader. I understand the Democrats. They're very upset because he's a great leader. I understand the media, very corrupt because he's a great leader. But the American people know he's a great leader. 80% of the American people wanted something done about these nukes. 80% of the American people. And here's the thing about Donald Trump. I never had any doubt he was going to do this. None. It's not because I'm Nostradamus. It's because I know the man. He's the one that said no to the Obama plan, no nukes. He's the one that's campaigned for 10, 11 years, no nukes. And so we knew that the Islamo-Nazi regime in Tehran was not going to bend. They were going to do head fakes and so forth and so on. You know, I talk about this movie, The Bridge Over the River Kwai. 1957, you had Colonel Nicholson, and he was this British colonel, and he was the commander, and the Japanese ordered him to build this bridge over the River Kwai. He was so proud of his bridge. He was the architect. Here are these British, they're POWs, they're building it. Some of them die during the course of it. And then he's given the order when the Japanese troop train comes across to blow it up. And he won't blow it up. You know why, Sean? He was so proud of his bridge. And then he's shot and he falls in the plunger and it blows up. Some people are in love with diplomacy. Some people are in love with yelling peace. Some people don't understand that the military can be used wisely and it can be used foolishly. Donald Trump is not an ideologue. Foreign policy is about prudence. It's not about painting by the numbers. Sloganeering is not leadership. I'm for peace. I hear young people go on TV, and this is a problem, saying, I'm a different generation. Forget about the past wars. Really? Reagan destroyed the Soviet Union. Should we forget about that? People need to learn history and understand history. Clinton gave the North Koreans the nuclear weapon because he didn't have the guts to bomb them. Obama gave the Iranians the nuclear weapon. Biden helped fund it, and Trump took it away. That is a leader. These leaders don't come around all the time. The United States military is a tremendous military. People who say they have faith in them trash them for everything that we've done in the past. Oh, look at Vietnam. Oh, look at North Korea. Look at this. Look at that. Look at it. It's about time we rally around this president, rally around our United States military, accept the fact this is a high point in American history and world history. What Israel has done and what Donald Trump just did is not only historic, but they have just protected the entire earth from these barbarians. And Western Europe, they're sitting there. What did Western Europe want to do?
Hi, Mr. Wonderful here. You know, I don't waste time, and I definitely don't waste money. I joined Start Engine as a strategic advisor and a shareholder and a paid spokesperson years ago because I liked where this company was headed. And now, the numbers speak for themselves. Start Engine just posted a $30 million Q1 revenue. That's not a typo. That's 3x growth year over year. That's an incredible number. Here's the part you need to hear, though. They're still raising money. But this round only lasts until June. Now you can join the future of startup investing. Of course, it's up to you. But just remember, this round closes next month. Take care, my friends.
They want ceasefires. They want de-escalation. Western Europe is weak. That's why wars start in Western Europe. That's why World War I started there and World War II started there. And I would tell the demagogues in our country, were you going on about World War III? Donald Trump just prevented World War III by using the United States military to stop it. Now, it's important that we take lessons from this. One other thing. The Democrat Party today, every damn one of them is talking about impeaching Donald Trump. He didn't tell us what to do. These people hate America. They should be celebrating, at least for once, in a bipartisan way, this man and what he has accomplished. What he has accomplished is no small feat. It's historic in every respect. Let me tell you something. On my show tomorrow, I'm not plugging it. I just want people to know. We're going to deal with this War Powers Act. We're going to explain why it's unconstitutional. We're going to explain why the Democrats and people like Tommy Massey and Rand Paul and the other whatever, why they're waving it around. Because they don't believe that we should use our military in this way either, and they do not believe in the Constitution of the United States. This man just defended the free world, and he deserves our celebration, as does the United States military. And by the way, Netanyahu and the Israelis, a tiny country, my God, look at what they've accomplished too. I'm ecstatic tonight because the free world won. and the enemy lost. How about that, America?
The world is a more peaceful place. You know what, Mark? I'm for peace, too. I'm against forever wars, as you are. The heart and soul, if you listen to Donald Trump during the campaign, every speech he gives is simple, basic, common sense. You control your borders. You live within your means. You cut out waste, fraud, and abuse. You get rid of murderers and rapists and gang members and known terrorists that Joe and Kamala let into the country. And common sense says you don't let the #1 state sponsor of terror have nuclear weapons. Great one. Mark Levin, we'll try to get back to you if you're around after the president speaks. We expect him to speak in about 15 minutes from right now. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page.